All right. Okay, welcome everybody. It is June 27th, and this is the OpenJS Foundation Standards Working Group meeting. We enjoy live streaming our meetings for the community and hope that it helps you feel comfortable to get involved with us. Thanks, folks, for being here today. We're probably going to have a fairly brief meeting. The big topic, which Toby was going to bring, we're going to table because Toby's sick. We hope he feels better soon. We start, however, with announcements. Any announcements, any news, any cross-project council news, OpenJS Foundation news, project news that anybody would like to share? I have a couple of else. The couple things I was going to share were just FYI, the meeting minutes from the June 13th meeting are now up, so you can look at that. And then the second was just the Secure the Web Forward workshop. We are continuing to take calls for papers there, and we're going to close that call at the end of July. So you have about 4 more weeks if you're interested in proposing a discussion topic. We are going to propose several from our community, but we would certainly love to have you raise topics, or if this is a subject area that you feel really interested and passionate about, we also need people to come and be part of that discussion and bring their perspective if you're not ready to necessarily be, proposing a paper or a position or something. But we're going to do that.
Joe and I submitted us a paper on security to get feedback.
Great. So, I imagine we'll be poking at some folks and, but anyway, just please help us also spread the word because I think that'll be a really fruitful discussion. So those 2 things were on my docket, and I guess if there's nothing else from an announcement standpoint, other than, it's the summer, so things kind of slow down. We'll go into the next section, which is TC reports and news. So TC 39, Jordan, you were just sharing some.
Yeah, we have an upcoming meeting in July in Bergen, Norway, and the meeting in September will be in Tokyo, Japan. There's already a lot of interesting things on the agenda for the July meeting, so please feel free to check it out on GitHub. And yeah.
Do you want to just spat out the URL for that?
Oh yeah, github.com/tc39/agendas.
And see, people who go to that a lot know the URL by heart. Cool. So folks can go check out what's on the agenda for those sessions, or also check out what's been discussed in the past. TC 53 has their next plenary. I think it is next Wednesday. So we'll check in with Donovan after their next call, and then I will publicly shame myself for not waking up at 3 a.m. to attend the ECMA General Assembly meeting, which was last week, but we should have the minutes document soon to share if there's anything newsworthy out of the twice yearly General Assembly meeting. OSI is our next group to report on. Toby, our newly appointed and minted rep, is out sick today. But I can share with the group that we did get Toby kind of squared away with Stefano and Deb. So he should have the access to mailing lists and things like that he needs to represent us. And then we'll let him fill us in when he gets back and better. W3C. Our primary group that we're active with is Winter CG. Ethan, do you know if there's any news to report or things to share from the community group this week?
No, I don't believe so. We will be having, this meeting happens more frequently than Winter CG's. Winter CG's is once a month on the first Thursday of the month or something like that. I'll have to double check that. So we have one scheduled on like July 6th, I think, is going to be our next meeting, and then there should be some stuff from there.
Great. It's a good segue or call out to the calendar.openjsf.org, where people can also see that. So great. And then I think the only like broader generalized W3C news is September will be here before we know it, and that's TPAC. And then also they're doing some exercises. I think this is connected to just sort of a broader, new entity. As you all know, at the beginning of the year, they became their own incorporated entity. So they're doing some like vision conversations with members, which I understand are going pretty well. And that, and what's the other point? They launched some new sections of their website recently. So congrats to the W3C team for that. And then Unicode Consortium is our last liaison, and Emily is not here today. So they also meet a lot less frequently. So, all right, that is it, unless there's other groups anybody wants to report on. Okay. So our regular issues for today, issue 243. This is about a week old from Toby. The open source initiative is kind of forming up a policy alliance group. And this is so funny because it connected well with what Sindil shared last week, that he internally, they were having conversations about how can we help our open source projects better, become aware of policy and how it impacts them. I was having a similar conversation with a colleague at LF Europe last week about this. So it's very much on well timed. And I think the whole point is twofold. One is, if legislation or regulation is being considered, how can we make sure that as early as possible, like that is put in front of relevant groups who can provide feedback? And then secondarily, kind of the other direction, how do we help elevate certain, concerns that the open source community has to the right, folks to have that conversation. So, yeah, I think the main question was really like, is there a monetary, is there a resource sort of component to this? And I would think the answer is no. Just like OSI, we don't, it's largely a member kind of driven thing.
Symbolic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like symbolic, but it's also, yeah. So anyway, discuss.
Yeah, we've had similar conversations at the board level too, because it's hard. You can take an issue and there's so many different things you can do around it. So it becomes very difficult to say, have like a policy agenda like an individual company might have. But I think there's a couple things we have been like, we can be a convener for some of these issues. And then if there's enough sort of broad industry consensus, we can sign on. Like the board supported us signing on to this sort of the open source kind of, there's several open source organizations who've signed on to a specific position on the Cyber Resilience Act, for example, in the EU. But yeah, so those are sort of some of the areas that we've been sort of floating around, but it's interesting to see what's happening at OSI and how we can learn.
Does anyone have a link to more information on the Open Policy Alliance efforts?
I think I might have one in a thread. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I can't find anything.
Yeah, I don't know. So I didn't see one in here. It was something that I think they were hoping to like.
I have an email attachments, not the best, but I will do that for sharing broadly. But let me see.
And then Robin, I guess my question is, if our group says, yeah, this seems very relevant for the OpenJS Foundation for us to sort of, would this be something that the board would need to,
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking back, because I came back from vacation at midnight last night, but it looks like there was supposed to be a blog being published on this in the last few days. So I'll need to double check and see if that happened.
Yeah, I don't see anything on the opensource.org site.
I saw a tentative blog publishing date of the 19th. When was that?
that was,
It was
ago.
a week ago. Blogs easily slip. I'll check it out.
So I don't see anything, any like, I mean, it seems like some plus ones, not maybe a ton of visibility from the standards working group just yet, but it seems like there's a pretty soft consensus that we would support we would encourage OpenJS Foundation board to consider this and vote yay. So maybe we can just say, we think yes, let's go ask the board for,
Yeah.
okay, cool. All right, we'll do that. Well, that takes care of that for that issue. So then the next two probably very quick things are related to issue 173. This is defined terms for subject matter expert participation. And last time at the last meeting, it was requested that I make some updates to 239 to just better kind of clarify affiliation. So I haven't done that yet, but I will do that. And then on 240, which is more of like a structural reorganization, a little bit, if you will, that Toby had some comments on, but I think we just largely resolved. We have a lot of plus ones on it. I can go back through and make sure that we've double checked that all the feedback that's been given has been addressed. But otherwise we have some plus ones. Would there be any any issues with us addressing that async and then merging between now and the next meeting, or anybody want more time to review? Ethan's like, no. Okay, well then, since I haven't done my part of the bargain, which is update 239 yet, I'm not gonna do any merges or anything like that. But that will, I think, partially address what the feedback that we've had from Guy and Leah and others, and we can maybe take another look at the documentation once those things are merged and see if there's anything else we want to do to like spruce it up. And that's it, unless there's other things that other people want to bring today for our meeting. No. Then if there's no other business, we just had a really fast meeting. Heck yes. Love it.
Always lovely to see your faces. We'll see.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All right. So Joe, I think you can stop the